Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today, a video that I wasn't expecting to make at all this season, but we're going to talk about it anyway. Could two of our players be heading into two of the biggest and best international setups in the entire world sometime soon? We're talking Argentina, we're talking Portugal. Celtic are getting players in there. What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. It would be much appreciated. We are getting so closer to that game on Saturday, but we still have some business to attend to. Celtic are still dominating the headlines for so many reasons, and we're still dominating all the awards up for grabs in Scotland this season. Not just in the men's game, but in the women's game too. The PFA, of course, yesterday announced their team of the season. Today, we got our PFA award nominations for the Player of the Year and Young Player of the Year awards. And Celtic, once again, have just dominated the field. So let's talk through both the women's side of the game and the men's side and look at the award nominations. We'll start with the Women's Player of the Year and Young Player of the Year categories. On screen, here's the Young Player of the Year nominees: Emma Watson, Jacinta, Kirsty McLean and Shen Meng-yu. Two Celtic players there, two Rangers players. Great start for us, obviously. Some very talented players, but nice to see two of Celtic's best players in there, well deserving of their nominations. And then in the Women's Player of the Year category, Amy Gallagher, Caitlin Hayes and Jacinta once again in for the nominations. You've got to love that, haven't you? You've just got to love that. 3 out of the 4 being Celtic players. Of course, still a little bit to go in the SWPL to finish off this campaign. Celtic looking to end off on a high. They take on Glasgow City tomorrow at Celtic Park. Make sure and get yourself there if you can. I'll be there cheering on the girls. But hopefully a clean sweep of awards for us at the PFA ceremony on Sunday. It would be nice to see us take a couple of these awards home. They're very deserving. They've had fantastic seasons. The team in general has just had a fantastic season. Just keeps getting better for us. So, domination on one side. And then on the other side of things, in the men's game, once again, complete and utter domination for Celtic in the nominations category. We'll start with the Young Player of the Year once again. Here's the nominations for the men's game: Liela Bada for Celtic, Malik Tillman, again, he's in there, Malik Tillman for Rangers, Matt O'Reilly for Celtic, and then finally, an interesting one, Charlie Riley of Albion Rovers, bottom of League 2, yet Charlie Riley has managed to get himself in there. I have watched nothing of Charlie Riley or Albion Rovers. I know nothing about the lad, no offence, not in a bad way, but he must be a hell of a player if he's making his way into the Young Player of the Year nominations after what has been obviously a challenging campaign for Albion Rovers. So one to watch maybe in the future. So many great young players in Scotland to manage to get into the final 4 nominations for the Young Player of the Year campaign. Wow. But Abada and O'Reilly in there, fantastic. Hopefully one of those two managed to take the award if possible. And then the Player of the Year nominations, bang, there you go on screen again. Callum McGregor, Rio Hatate and Kyogo all join Kevin Van Veen of Motherwell. No Rangers players in sight. 3 Celtic, 1 Motherwell, and 3 very deserving Celtic players. In fact, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because there's a couple of guys who we probably are missing out in the Player of the Year nominees. So 16 players in total nominated for these awards across the 4 categories, 4 per award. 10 of them playing for Celtic's men's and women's team. That is unbelievable. And it just speaks volumes to how good we are at the moment across all aspects of the football club, from top to bottom, from men's side to women's side to the youth sides. Right now, Celtic are just in a spectacular place. Everything just seems to be running like clockwork, and there's nothing to complain about, really. They're very deserving as well. Look, listen, this is not by luck. This is not by lack of competition. This is from nothing else other than sheer hard work and talent across both sides, the men and women's team, and they all deserve to be there. So, you've got to give a tip of the hat to the people running the club. As critical as I have been of the board, and as critical as I still am in certain aspects of the board, you've got to tip your hat sometimes and say, we are running very smoothly in all things football at the moment. The football operations couldn't be going much better. And hopefully the players see their rewards for that. And Sunday at the PFA Awards would be nice to see a clean sweep for Celtic. But we'll react to that come Monday morning. And hopefully it'll be a fun one for Celtic. It is such an interesting one though, because especially when you look at the Player of the Year category on the men's side, there is so many more Celtic players who could be well within their rights of being nominated. I think one of the big ones that are missing, for example, is Cameron Carter-Vickers, who's been unbelievable. He's been snubbed again. But obviously when it comes to these award ceremonies, not only in Scotland, but when you look at the Ballon d'Or or the FIFA awards, it's always attacking players who are awarded these. It's always an attacking bias, isn't it? So I'm not exactly surprised. I'm gutted for Carter-Vickers, but once again, these are things that don't make or break a season or make or break careers. It's a nice accolade and a nice title to have. Something that will look great on the mantelpiece of the players who win them. But overall, Cameron Carter-Vickers is brilliant anyway, and other guys who have been snubbed are brilliant, so they know that, and all they need is the fans to tell them that, not the PFA. So you talk about accolades, and you talk about impressive Celtic players. Well, a couple of our players have been that impressive. They're catching the eyes of their international managers, and a couple of them who I don't think we expected to see in their international teams anytime soon. Not because they're not good enough, and not through any disrespect, just because the quality of the international sides they play for. But this morning it has been reported that Alexandre Bernabei and Jota could be very, very close to international call-ups for their respective countries, Portugal and Argentina. Overnight, it was revealed back in Argentina that Alexandre Bernabei is set for an Argentina call-up. As they look to revamp the squad that they currently had. It was picked up by The Record this morning, and they went on to say Celtic star Alexandre Bernabei is reportedly in line for a shock international call-up for world champions Argentina. The 22-year-old signed a £3.75 million move from Lanús last summer and has acted as backup to Scotland defender Greg Taylor for most of the season, but has still managed 17 appearances. He has netted one goal so far in his career, but the strike last month against Ross County saw Bernabei make history as he became the first ever Argentinian to score for Celtic. And then they went on to say that according to reports in South America, Bernabei is being considered for their summer tour of Asia by Lionel Scaloni, where they are set to face Indonesia and China, because he reportedly wants to use players with less international experience for the trip, with the title winner being considered for his first call-up. A player playing for the world champions. Doesn't really feel right, does it, as a Celtic supporter? But just, we're not, we're a massive club and we have great players, but we're not in a position where we have, World Cup winning squad players in our team. Obviously, Bernabei didn't win the World Cup. He wasn't there. He didn't play for that side. But the fact that he could be in there with some of the greatest in the world and be in there with your Messis and your McAllisters. Yeah, I'm putting McAllister up there. He's fucking brilliant. He's your Di Marias and your Alvarez's and all these great players. The fact that Bernabei might be getting called into that is, it's a bit of a shock, isn't it? No disrespect to Bernabei whatsoever, because I really like him. Yeah, he's had a testing season, but it was always going to be in his first year in Scotland, coming from a very different chapter of life over in Argentina. But I didn't expect him anywhere near call-ups, because he's not played all that much. And when he has played, he's been subject to criticism. But it makes sense, doesn't it? Because this is a guy that obviously could be a future fullback for Argentina. You look at the players that they've got just now in the fullback positions, they're all getting on a bit. And this is the perfect time, as Scaloni is obviously here looking for guys who haven't played as much international football to try and bed them into the setup and give them that experience for, bigger games in the future. It's a really good chance to do it when you're playing the likes of Indonesia and China, when you're a side as good as Argentina. So, you know, you give him the chance to come in and see what the setup's like and get used to working with some of the staff and players. He could be a very vital player moving forward when Argentina start to lose these older guys. And obviously, Bernabei is only in the first year of his Celtic career. You hope the trajectory is quite high for him. You hope that he goes on to do good things, not only at Celtic, but beyond that. You know, he could be playing anywhere in Europe in the next 5 years, depending how it goes at Celtic. So if Argentina want to take that chance on him and give him an opportunity, you're better doing that now than leaving it too late. And then you come in and you're not good enough. You know, we look at Scotland, for example, and for years we were very, very guilty, and to an extent we still are, of picking favourites, picking the usual, and not giving younger guys a chance. And then when the young guys come in, you're either presented with a shock of how good they are and they should have been there all along, or they're just not ready. But if you give guys like Bernabei this chance very early on, then it's going to be easier to bed them in future. So it's obviously a very interesting way to go about things, but very exciting for Bernabei, for Celtic, obviously having an Argentinian international on the side, and just, yeah, for us, it's brilliant. I love that. You know, Argentina were fantastic to watch during the World Cup. I think we all wanted Argentina to win the World Cup. So to have Bernabei in there would be something quite special. So fair play to him if that's the case. And then Jota, who we all love and know very well, and he needs no introduction. To us, he is perfect, and to us, he should be in that Portugal side. But did we expect it? Probably not. However, the Herald released a very interesting article this morning, headlined that Roberto Martinez rates Jota's Celtic form amid Portugal admission. Apparently, he's on the radar of the new Portuguese boss, Roberto Martinez, of course, formerly of Belgium, now at Portugal, maybe looking to shake things up, and maybe Jota's a part of those plans. I'll point you in the direction of the Herald article. Just type in Jota, the Herald, Celtic or something, and you'll be able to find it and read through it yourself, because there's a lot. He actually speaks quite in depth. It's not just a passing comment. He seems very impressed and very clued up on who Jota is. And maybe a call up for him to the Portugal side is coming sooner rather than later, and sooner than we all expected. To be honest, with the quality in that Portugal side, I always assumed that he would never make it to the Portugal team while he played for Celtic. I thought he'd need that big move, that English Premier League move, or you know, one of the top divisions in Europe. I didn't think it would happen for him at Celtic. But the way that Martinez bangs on about him in this article, it speaks for how well we know him and how good we know he is. But it's good to see that Martinez actually acknowledges that. And just because he plays in Scotland, he's not dismissing it. Obviously, Martinez has played in Scotland. You know, he's been here. It's a league that he has been known to follow. He's signed a lot of players at club level for teams from the Scottish Premiership. But yeah, he says he's very impressed. This is one of the quotes I'll throw up on screen. The stats that we have from him, they're very impressive. Not just in the Scottish League, but in the Champions League. When you're looking at measuring a player and the natural gift of taking players on, it's very interesting to see it at different levels. So just be keeping an eye on him domestically and in the Champions League, and maybe Jota and Bernabei will have a very exciting summer coming up. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see if they get the call-ups. It's mad when you think about it, and I think it just speaks volumes to how eye-opening Celtic have been over Europe. And a lot of naysayers and a lot of the opposition love to deny that. And you're not that good, and ye or that part. We are that good. We are opening eyes. We are surprising people, and that's going to keep happening as long as Ange Postecoglou is here. And these are obviously players who are catching the eyes of very big international teams and managers. So I'm excited, and hopefully it gives a slap up the arse to the Japan manager to hurry up and get their boys picked, because they deserve to be in there. Kyogo and Hatate, who have been left out. So yeah, anyway, that'll do it today. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions in the comments below. It'll be interesting to hear. But for me today, that's everything. So yeah, been a pleasure. I'll see you all next time.